in 2018, and I was a waitress in New York City. I had no health insurance. I could not pay my rent. And I consistently saw a party that championed special interests, the elite, and a Democratic Party that was very much kind of telling working people that everything was fine when it in fact wasn't.
Welcome back, folks. Today, I want to talk about someone who's been making big waves in political circles, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC. The reason I'm focusing on her is twofold. First, many people believe she'll eventually make a serious run for the White House. Speculation about 2028 presidential bid has been heating up, especially after her high-profile appearance at the Munich Security Conference. And second, as a potential leader, what are her real strengths and flaws? I'll back up these points with video clips of the Queen herself. In action, do you think she has what it takes to lead the greatest country in the free world? Let me know your take. Representative AOC recent comments at the Munich Security Conference in February 2026 may prove my first point of 6. She claimed that U.S. aid to Israel has enabled genocide in Gaza. Now, from a center-right perspective, this isn't just a policy disagreement. It's a troubling display of insensitivity, especially given the location, Munich, Germany. It's where Hitler rose to power, and invoking genocide there about Israel. A nation founded in the aftermath of the Holocaust feels like a slap in the face to history and our Jewish allies. Let's break this down step by step. First, understand the context. AOC was on a panel discussing U.S. foreign policy when she made these remarks. She argued that conditioning aid to Israel is necessary because, in her view, Israel's actions in Gaza amount to genocide. But here's the thing. Genocide is a loaded term with a specific legal definition under international law. It means the intent to destroy a group in whole or in part. Critics from the middle and right argue that Hamas, a terrorist organization, started this conflict with brutal attacks on Israel's civilians, including kidnappings and murders. Israel's response, while tragic in terms of civilian casualties, is self-defense against an enemy that hides among civilians, labeling it genocide, ignores Hamas's role, and echoes anti-Semitic tropes that unfairly single out the Jewish state. From a balanced viewpoint, we can acknowledge the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, innocent Palestinians suffering, and that's heartbreaking. But AOC's rhetoric goes further, alienating key allies like Israel and potentially emboldening groups like Hamas. Center-right thinkers, like most of the people that will come to this channel, at the Heritage Foundation also point out that this kind of language divides rather than unites. And it plays into identity politics that prioritize anti-Israel sentiment over facts. Why not call for peace talks or targeted aid that would help civilians without undermining Israel's right to exist? Moreover, this isn't isolated. AOC has a pattern of strong anti-Israel stances, like supporting BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanction. These movements, which may seem as veiled anti-Semitism. I can't talk today, guys. If you are studying international relations, you'd learn that words matter in diplomacy. Accusing an ally of genocide in a city tied to Nazi history shows a lack of nuance and could weaken America's global standing. It's like ignoring the full picture in a debate class. You lose your credibility. Take a look at this.
Should reevaluate military aid to Israel.
I mean, to me, this isn't just about a presidential election. Personally, I think that the United States has an obligation to uphold its own laws, particularly the Leahy laws. And I think that personally, that the idea of completely unconditional aid, no matter what one does not make sense. I think it enabled a genocide in Gaza. And I think that we have thousands of women and children dead that was completely avoidable.
Huh? AOC showing face the Munich Security Conference, offering up what little knowledge she has on foreign policy, even fielding a question about a potential 2028 presidential bid.
Okay. While AOC aims to highlight injustices, her approach risks historical insensitivity and strains alliances. As center-right folks, we believe in strong support for Israel as a stronghold against terrorism, while pushing for humanitarian solutions. What do you think? Does this help or hurt peace efforts? Drop your thoughts below and let's discuss it. Hey everyone, let's dive into another aspect of Representative AOC's public persona. Her tendency towards what critics call word salad responses, especially on complex issues like foreign policy at the 2026 Munich Security Conference, when asked about U.S. defense commitments to Taiwan. AOC delivered a rambling answer that jumped from inequality to alliances without clear coherence. This highlights inexperience, someone in the spotlight without depth needed for global stages. Think about it analytically, like in a Poli-Sci 101 class. AOC said something along the lines of linking economic inequality to security threats, but it came out as a jumble. It reminded many of Kamala Harris's evasive style, earning the nickname Harris-esque. Center-right critics argue this isn't just a slip. It's a sign she's out of her depth. She's only been in Congress since 2019 with a background in bartending and activism, not foreign affairs. While passion is great, representing America abroad requires precision to avoid embarrassing the nation. In case you have not seen this clip yet, watch this.
And Congressman, I'll start with you. Would and should the U.S. actually commit U.S. troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is this is of course a very longstanding policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
I actually felt sorry for her. She may never live this one down, guys. Why does this matter? Inexperience can lead to policy blunders. For instance, her vague Taiwan comments could signal weakness to China, who sees ambiguity as an opportunity from a conservative lens. We value leaders like Marco Rubio, who at the same conference gave clear, applauded defenses of America's first policies. AOC style contrasts sharply. fueling debates about whether progressive voices prioritize ideology over expertise. To visualize, imagine debating in class. If your argument meanders without facts, you lose points. Similarly, AOC's responses undermine the trust in democratic foreign policy, especially since the post-Biden era. Inexperience isn't a crime, but on the world stage, it can cost us. We need leaders who speak clearly for America's interest. Maybe why I will never be an American leader. Tripping over these words sometimes. Do you agree? Comment below. The third reason I find AOC a non-candidate is her constant hypocrisy. Focusing on AOC's campaign finance issues, she built her brand railing against dark money, anonymous donations influencing politics. Yet, she's been accused of shady PAC dealings. From a center-right view, this is classic elite double standards. Preach transparency while bending the rules. In 2019, AOC went viral with a House hearing corruption game, exposing how dark money corrupts. Fast forward to recent FEC complaints. Funds from her campaign, allegedly, funneled to her aide's consultancy without proper disclosure. Critics say hypocritical, undermining her populist image as a working class hero. Hypocrisy erodes American trust. AOC wants strict rules for others, but skirts them herself. Center-right outlets like Fox Business highlighted a 2019 scandal where her chief of staff was tied to dark money. Per FCEC filings, this ties to broader leftist patterns. Attack corporations while benefiting from similar systems. Conservatives argue for less regulation overall, but if rules exist, follow them equally. Here's a clip of her holding others accountable, but do you think she follows the same ethics for herself in the two clips that follow? Check them out.
In relation to congressional oversight that we have, the limits that are placed on me as a congresswoman, compared to the executive branch and compared to, say, the President of the United States, would you say that Congress has the same sort of standard of accountability? Is there more teeth in that regulation in Congress on the president, or would you say it's about even or more so on the federal?
In terms of laws that apply to the president,
Mhm.
yeah, there's just almost no laws at all that apply to the president.
So I'm being held, and every person in this body is being held to a higher ethical standard than the President of the United States.
That's right, because there are some ethics committee rules that apply to you.
To Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she presents herself as a working-class champion fighting against corruption in politics. Now, she has been quite vocal in condemning so-called dark money in campaigns, calling it, quote, the enemy to democracy. She has demanded transparency in politics, but now this, her campaign embroiled in a deepening crisis tonight, accused of going to great lengths to avoid the sunlight of disclosure by setting up off-the-books shell companies, which took in nearly $900,000 in campaign donations. Those shell companies were run by her chief of staff out of his Greenwich Village apartment. Now, no one really knows how that money was spent. So,
an anti-corruption lawyer warned Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's staff against accepting an invite from Vogue to attend the Met Gala. Emails show the lawyer warned Vogue's parent company, Advanced Media Publications, was a registered lobbyist and appeared to suggest AOC could attend the gala if she had an invite from the Met, who is the event organizers, but not from Vogue. Ocasio-Cortez and her boyfriend accepted the tickets to the gala anyway. AOC sparked widespread attention for wearing the infamous Tax the Rich dress to the annual fundraising gala in New York City. A slew of watchdog groups filed complaints after revelations emerged she and her boyfriend scored tickets costing $35,000 apiece, her sitting at a sponsored table valued up to $300,000, and having a limousine ride. The Ethics Committee revealed it is investigating the matter and released a report from the Office of Congressional Ethics on the debacle. The report outlined a series of allegedly delayed and discounted reimbursements from AOC for makeup, hair, transportation, hotel costs, and more. Ocasio-Cortez shrugged off the ethics scrutiny and maintained the matter will likely be dropped.
Charges were dropped in the Dark Money LLC case, citing lack of proof. The Met Gala event she did have to pay a little over $3,000 after the ethics investigation. In sum, true reform starts with personal integrity. AOC's issues highlight why we need accountability across the board. If you're going to throw rocks in glass houses, well, if you have a thought on this hypocrisy, I'd love to hear it down below. The fourth reason I don't believe AOC should be a candidate for the highest office is her anti-American attacks on Trump. Let me explain. AOC's sharp attacks on Trump at Munich 2026 called the foreign policy a wrecking ball, destroying alliances. Center-right folks see this as anti-American scapegoating. Ignoring Trump's successes like NATO burden sharing, she led Trump's authoritarianism to inequality, criticizing moves like Greenland's bids, but from Trump's pressured Europe to pay fair shares, strengthening alliances long term. AOC's rhetoric mocks America first, prioritizing globalism over U.S. workers. Critically, this divides realism versus idealism. AOC's idealism overlooks threats like China. Here is a clip of AOC criticizing the U.S. president on the world stage and Marco Rubio's response. Check it out.
Act out these paradoxes, whether it is, kidnapping a foreign head of state, whether it is threatening our allies to colonize Greenland, whether it is looking the other way in a genocide. Hypocrisies are vulnerabilities, and they threaten democracies globally. And so I think many of us are here to say we are here and we are ready for the next chapter, not to have the world turn to isolation, but to deepen our partnership on greater and increased commitment to integrity to our values.
So in a time of headlines heralding the end of the transatlantic era, let it be known and clear to all that this is neither our goal nor our wish.
Clashing viewpoints on foreign policy from AOC and Secretary of State Marco Rubio as the Munich Security Conference continues. In his speech today, Rubio says the U.S. will not abandon ties with Europe. This as AOC slams the Trump administration as looking to withdraw the U.S. from the entire world.
I believe the fifth reason to not elect AOC to higher office is her weak socialist agenda and her Green New Deal push. AOC's attempt for radical economic politics, like the Green New Deal that she advocated for years, constantly re-advocating because it never got its feet off the ground. The right views this as socialist overreach, burdening taxpayers with unnecessary, unnecessary regulation. Massive government spending ignores market successes, capitalism, and national debt issues. Take a look at this.
The core tenets of the Green New Deal, which 4 years ago were considered unrealistic, have now made their way to be implemented in national legislation. So we're hoping that this guide will provide cities, states, tribes, nonprofits, businesses, and individuals with the tools to take full advantage of what is in here.
Conclusion. favor free markets for prosperity, not the socialist ideology that AOC openly supports. They put democratic in front of socialist, but it has no meaning except to make you accept it. If you support socialism, a form of government that has failed miserably everywhere, please tell me down below why and give me solutions to their failures. My last reason for not supporting AOC is her floor rants that frankly are inappropriate and insensitive. The rants filled with hatred, like against women's sports bills or honoring conservatives, seen as divisive hate mongering, prioritizing ideology over unity. But intolerance exemplifies left wing echo chambers. Just listen to her ridiculous justifications for hatred towards others and ask yourself if she would make a good president.
We should be clear about who Charlie Kirk was. A man who believed that the Civil Rights Act that granted Black Americans the right to vote was a mistake. Who, after the violent attack on Paul Pelosi, claimed that, quote, some amazing patriot, unquote, should bail out his brutal assailant. And accused Jews of controlling, quote, not just the colleges, it's the nonprofits, it's the movies, it's Hollywood, it's all of it, unquote. His rhetoric and beliefs were ignorant, uneducated, and sought to disenfranchise millions. Trans girls are girls. And for all the folks that are so concerned, thank you for your concern about women for the first time that I've seen. I don't know about y'all. I don't know who's been to gym class lately, but girls, even if you only believe in two genders, I've played co-ed sports all the time. But what this also opens the door for is for women to try to perform a very specific kind of femininity for the very kind of men who are drafting this bill, and to open up questioning of who is a woman because of how we look, how we present ourselves, and yes, what we choose to do with our bodies.
I think the answer's clear. We should push for unity, but also sanity and reason, known as common sense. In conclusion, while Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's 7 key characteristics, which are bold progressivism, social media savvy, economic idealism, confrontational style, limited executive experience, and polarizing rhetoric, focus on systemic overhaul, have propelled her to prominence as a voice for change. They also underscore profound concerns about her suitability for national leadership. These traits, though energizing to her base, often manifest as unfeasible policy visions, divisive tactics that deepen national rifts, and a track record more aligned with activism than pragmatic governance required to unite a diverse nation. Electing her as leader risks amplifying ideological extremes over steady, inclusive progress, potentially steering America towards economic instability and social fragmentation. For the sake of resilient republic, we must prioritize proven stewards of compromise and realism over charismatic disruptors, lest we trade enduring stability for fleeting revolution. In other words, socialist out. I'm the dragon reporting in my lair. Goodbye.